head on to game number 1 inside the land of Dawn. Blacklist International in the top of the rankings right now. Well, I wouldn't say top 1, but at least within the top 4. TNC, on the other hand, will be in the bottom 4, which means they would likely want to secure 2-0 here.
Yep,
Currently this week, I think they're 2-0 in this week alone.
Yes, and those were 2 dominating wins that we saw yesterday. It didn't even look close. It was started by what, a 13-minute win by TNC, followed up by an 11-minute win, something like that. So the textbook TNC that we are talking about, it's back with a little bit of updated chapters in there. I was really curious on how TNC as well as Bentings can fare against Blacklist International, the VY tandem last season. Now, season 10, we are awarded with that kind of luxury to see Bentings now, who admittedly said that VY is his his idol. I mean Venus. So this is going to be very interesting on how to see Bentings duel with his idol.
I think a lot of people, a lot of people in that position can say, I really look up to the Queen, the play style and things. And again, that's what we're talking about too. Very contrasting play styles between Oh My Venus and Bentings. And again, game 1, which we're waiting to jump back into here, is going to be a telling sign, because right now, honestly, if you look at it, TNC is the one with the momentum for the week, right? For the weekend. And that's going to be a huge thing here. Again, this is a team, TNC, it fits so well with their persona, right? They are a phoenix, literally. So when they have momentum, when they're on fire, that's when they're best. Now, is that going to be enough for a team like Blacklist International?
And speaking of Phoenix, before they turn back to that rising Phoenix, they got to turn back into an egg. This is exactly why Bentings shaved his head, by the way. So technically not canon. Do not quote me on that. We are still heading on to a technical pause here. So far, we are waiting for the player issue to be resolved. And I think based on the troubleshooting note here, it's more of a comms issue. Maybe some of them are having audio issues with the way that they talk. Again, communication is very important when we're talking about a professional game like this. We talked about shot callers. How important is it to have that information spread out as fast as possible?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, since still it's a good debate. Are we still very objective based, or is it, even the other MPL regions, they're very clash based, team fight based, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the Philippines specifically, we are still mostly an objective-based playstyle region, so that information that you get from these amazing roamers, or even the mid laners, or even XP laners, when you see that Uranus is picked here, that is for vision. That is for providing to be able to go into those bushes, take those, I believe it's the bunnies, right? Yeah. I think it's the bunny skin that was picked, the alarm bots there, and then provide information for TNC. It's very crucial. But one thing that is happening here in the MPL Philippines is teams now are not completely 9 times out of 10 on objectives. Now, I feel like a lot of times, like even Wolf mentioned yesterday, what TNC did is they were very fast-paced games, sub 15 minutes. So now even the Philippines, man, as an MPL region, is also developing and changing a little bit here, where it's not all about objectives. It can also just be sometimes those clashes.
Exactly. And which is always started with information, right? Intel gives you better decision making. So to answer Womi's question here, I think that in the early stages, information is important for not only for junglers and playmakers, but also for the gold laners. I've seen a big trend this week and the previous week that gold laners tend to occupy 2 lanes at the same time in the early stages to get to that massive surge of gold, which cannot be started if you don't have the information with you. If you don't know where the opposing roamers are, it's very hard to move as a gold laner.
And not just very hard, very risky as well. You do not want to leave your lane unless you have a sure path to your mid lane, and maybe as quick as possible secure the minions. And I feel like Claude is the perfect example for that. BMI does buy a lot of safety, and just popping that blazing duet in the mid lane immediately clears out everything. Then you go back to your BMI, walk back to your lane, and then farm up. That has been the strategy for a lot of Claude compositions so far in MPL Philippines. But looking at the other end of the stick, we have TNC on the Irithel. How do you even keep up with the pace of a Claude at this point?
Well, you have to be first. You have to outpace the Claude, in fact. When it comes to the farming, I don't think that come the mid game you'll be able to like farm as fast as the Cloud. So what you do now is to win your lanes, take outer turret energy shields, utilize the Aerithal in turtle takes, and then take the mid lane as well, the mid lane turret. So it's all about outpacing, in fact, the Cloud. Do not try to win the game by trying to be as the same farm with the Cloud. You have to be ahead all the time.
I think also on top of that, if you're, in terms of Irithyll versus Klon specifically, if you can hold on to your ultimate more, or even the sprint, I believe he ran with the sprint.
That's right.
If you can hold on to it long enough and wait for that Blazing Duet to be utilized, and then you come back in
yeah.
with the damage, and you're honestly, like, Irithyll's mobility is out of the world in comparison to the other gold lane marksman, right? So that is going to be a huge factor in those team fights.
Yeah, and we're finally going back to the game and back to Edward, dashing young man, Season 7 MVP, one of the best XP laners in the country and in the world as well, winning the M3 World Championships. And so far, Blacklist International, we're no strangers to I think the amount of fans that they have. Every time that there's a Blacklist International game here in Eyesight Building, it's packed.
Yeah, sold out. Or we're not.
It's not even sold out because the
so-
tickets are free. So if you're watching at home, and if you want to watch MPL Philippines Season 10, feel free to go to Eyesight Building in Eastwood. That's in Quezon City.
Yep.
We're going to have a fun time here, and you maybe bring some friends over. All you got to do is have a negative swab test. And if you
Recent swab test.
A recent swab test.
Yeah.
If you don't have a swab test...
It can't be
a swab test from last week, And if you don't have a swab test at home, you could always we're selling one here. But of course, it's not to make money. It's literally just the price of the swab
price.
test. It's a retail price. It's for safety.
Yeah.
So we're not making any money with swab tests.
That's right.
Whoever said that, not real.
Yeah.
Not really.
Did somebody actually say that?
Yeah, dude. Like, it's insane. You know what? The community of MPL is quite fun.
Yeah.
You would read comments like insane theories and all, and you would just debunk them kindly, and they're gonna laugh at it.
Yeah.
So it's always a funny way to just like talk to the fans and other stuff. But
We
you
love
know,
the fans.
Again, speaking about fans, man, while we're still waiting to jump into game one here, I was still surprised, despite the weather in the Philippines, that when I arrived here at the studio, there was literally, I don't know
More
which
than
team they
30
belong
people.
to, but there was, 30 to 40, maybe even 50 people just, maybe they were all eating, right?
Yeah.
But they were literally here hours and hours before the first series.
It's
while
crazy.
the storm was reaching.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting into the studio myself. There's a lot of flooding in my area, so big props to all the fans who went
Yeah,
here.
and hopefully you're staying dry, staying safe, because we're about to start game one
Here we
finally.
go.
Blacklist International versus TNC, the final match of the day. SD already level 2 here. And it's going to be the Escalera Lunox in the mid lane. We haven't seen this for quite a long time.
Oh, look at that. Benthics already cleared out or put that Rock Ursa very low, and it was SDZYZ to claim it. But they are really trying to outpace the Barretts this time, who is left to his own. While onto the bottom lane, this is standard. They want to protect OHIP at all costs. As we can see, my Venus being in there.
So, and also going back to, we were talking about, I mean, even before this, we were talking about, that matchup, Irithyll and Claude. Well, look how many sprints are on the side of Blacklist International, right? They also want to go speed for speed here. So with the mobility factor that TNC does have, I feel like again, it's just going to come down to those micro decisions around those objectives later on, because even with Edward, even Oh My Venus having this sprint available to them, they'll be able to keep pace, right? They are setting the pace here for those team fights. I mean, already you can see, even with an Impure Rage on Oh My Venus here, the amount of poke on a Diggy is quite scary, and that's why before, like you said, Womi, Oh My Venus was, I believe, above the mid lane in damage.
Yeah, and so far, TNC, they're going to try to secure the first hurdle of the game, and I feel like Blacklist International, they're just going to give it away for free. The Balmond already there, and it's just going to be he's not even going to lethal counter it, just going to secure it with no retribution.
And this gives TNC a little bit of an advantage now in this potential purple buff battle that's going to happen. This is very interesting because not only did TNC give some of the creeps from the Blacklist International side, they also gave some minions from the gold lane.
Oh, did he actually lethal counter that out of here? Goes in for the purple. There's the Daytona's welcome. Gobbles him up, throws him in the wall. Can they grab a kill here? Edward on the chase of SD, but Wise gets taken out. First blood drawn by TNC, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade as SDZYZ falls.
It's a jungler for a jungler, but I do believe that the purple buff did go to the hands of the Balman, because it's a lethal counter and retribution. How do you even counter that?
Yeah, it's no counter to that, especially when SDZYZ is leading by a level ahead of Wise now. This is a very interesting take for TNC. They're sacrificing some of the other lanes just to give it to SDZYZ to take advantage of that big spike from the Balmond. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work, but one thing that we know is that in the early game, this Balmond should be utilized. All of the turtles should belong to TNC.
Ben Things with a huge flicker kick here. Now Oheb 1 versus 3, but should be fine, has the BMI. Haji making his way down here, but Ben Things should be able to get out just in time. They are going to get the information that they need here. Feathered Airstrike does come down, but it's not going to be enough here. Oh my Venus there to back him up too, but so far, stalemate here in the bottom side.
And of course, it's the classic Uranus cut inside of the base. Already a wave gone in the XP and in the mid lane respectively. And looking back at that play coming in from TNC in the gold lane, that was such, like, you could see the synergy from both Ben Things and Escalera. Something must have happened in the locker room because they weren't this good in week 1 and 2.
I agree. Now, the turtle is going to be taken by TNC. Cram already spun out the members of Blacklist International and he zoned them out already. Very little chance for Blacklist International to contest the second turtle.
Yeah, again, I think you just, if you are Blacklist, you just give these up, right? You're gonna, I mean, we've seen it before. Teams take 3 turtles, and, you know, it still doesn't go in their favor here. But still, TNC maintaining a very minor lead. This could help them. There's going to be the way of the dragon right on the queen. Going to take quite a bit of damage. Time's Journey comes out, but you can't escape the crossbow. Escalera, Yasuo can't get the kill. Ben Thing's still alive. 1-for-1 trade again.
SD a little bit too late. If he were there in that fight, one lethal counter could have secured 2 kills, but you know, you can't get all the things in the world. So SD will just clear out the mid lane. He might just be in a little bit of trouble here if he just goes in this fight. Looks like he won't. Wait a minute, SD? Okay. He's gonna go back.
Yeah, he should be fine. He's just showing how much he can spin to win and gonna be completely fine on the Ballman.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I saw Athena's Shield as the first item for SDZYZ, which is interesting because you normally want to tank up first. But seeing as there is a big threat on this Farsa as the Balmond, as well as the fact that there are Diggy bumps, the bumps bunny, being very difficult, and you can see the advantages that these time bombs give. Man, that could have been a deadly play from TNC, but it's all stopped by the bumps bunny.
That's going to be all game right there, man.
All game. If you don't go to Cram, he's not going to stop. And TNC, they want to force things out. Oh My Venus will be dodging that Jeet Kune and Ben Things will be, SD's going in.
They get the time journey, the lethal counter on top of Oh My Venus taking them down here, and now the focus on the bottom side. SD gonna try to zone out Oheb. This should just be a turret in favor for TNC.
Wow, look at this. They limit the minions coming in the XP in the mid lane, and they go 4-man gold lane. TNC is showing Blacklist International that they have new pages in the book.
And it's a classic page.
Yeah, it is a classic. It's like taking a page from an older book and then put it back in.
A different book entirely. And now they go with Ben Things. Doesn't get the way of the dragon where he wants it to. Feathered Airstrike comes down. Turtle is going to be taken though by TNC. And meanwhile, Haji running for his life. Taken out by Cram. No. Daytona's welcome comes out. There's the return damage. But can they get taken care of? Yasuo. Edward going to be focused on. It's a double kill. How is he doing it? Now Cram trying to take down Edward as he does. But member after member falls.
He's regenerating! What is happening?
Has the consecration. My, oh my, what a fight.
TNC, they went in for a fight, but I would say that flicker coming in from Escalera was a little bit too late there. If Wise wasn't able to eat up Escalera, that could have been a different story, but Wise had good enough timing to secure that team fight.
And now he is able to breathe. He's able to get his orange buff from the other side and can retreat back to base. The reason why Blacklist International also won that fight was because of Oh My Venus once again. Those reverse time pulls was so crucial in that clash that it kind of even stopped Gaswolf from snowballing out of control. Still, TNC holds the lead. But the fact that Blacklist International are holding on, this is great news for the agents right now.
Yeah, Ben Thinks, though, trying to look a play against Edward, but Edward knew it. I think he sniffed it out and then just went back.
Yep.
I mean, we talked about gold lane matches here, right? Yasuo having that Berserker's Fury early on. I know, right? Oheb has 2 items as well here, but we already saw how much burst is in Irithyll, right? Where Claude takes a little bit more time to build up. You also have to have those stacks available to you, and you need to be right in position for that blazing duet.
Yeah, Ben Things knows that there are members of Blacklist International inside that bush. Treading very, very carefully here, and Weiss will be the only member being shown. He's gonna go in for SD, but SD won't go in!
SD doesn't get eaten up, but the feathered airstrike finds him, and Ben Thing's in trouble here. Has to back off. It's only 1 down for TNC, but Blacklist International now in a good position to start up the Lord here, but Kram has a different idea. He is gonna just try to zone them out, buy a little bit more time.
Ben Thinks is very low. I don't know if TNC can actually fight this. It would have been better if TNC just recalled back to base and just rushed into the Lord now. They're in a big disadvantage.
Oh, they actually just take the Lord here. Right out of the hands of TNC. They didn't have enough time. Kram trying to do his best, but they're happy. TNC says, let's just get a turret at least, and we can defend against this Lord, but Kram gonna take quite a bit of damage himself. Should be able to heal back up here just in time. Gets the feathered airstrike out though from Haji.
A turret for a level 1 Lord. It really depends if Blacklist International will be able to take down turrets here. If yes, they will be taking the lead. If no, TNC kind of just didn't lose a lot here. So they're going to try to clear out the Lord as fast as possible. And Escalera going in with a Chaos as well.
Okay, they tried their best to hold on to that tier 1 turret, but unfortunately, it is taken down here. They hold a very minor gold lead. But as we're saying, right, this is still crucial because the team fight decisions that are coming out from Blacklist International are really paying dividends for them to win those.
A very close game here, Wolf. It's stalemate right now. No significant gold lead for the side of Blacklist International and TNC. What can we expect in the mid game?
I think that they need to put some farm into Escalera right now. I'm looking at the stats and he's not as farmed as you would expect from Lunox, especially because it was Kram who took so much of the minions. It is good for the Uranus, but the grand scheme of things, the money distribution isn't as, yeah, it was spread too thinly.
Yeah.
And he is running that mystery shop, so at least that gives him a little bit of a discount in the shop to get his items early on. But so far, I think that's a big effect of Kram's cutting inside the waves. Of why does he get kicked out?
Oh, why is gonna get kicked here? But he's so tanky. Eats up the right target, and that's gonna be Ben Things getting punished here. Now Kram the next target as Oheb tries to gun him down. Can he escape? Yasuo there to help him out. Kram pops his consecration. Gonna be just fine, but they find 1 target.
1 second late once again. First Escalera, now Ben Thinks. Weiss's tongue reaches so far with this Barretts, man.
Oh. And this is also the time for the ultimate bonding experience. They will not be divided this time. And surely Edward is not in here, but he is in Esmeralda. Very easy to get into the fights. Haji to protect the bubble. You also have like Oh My Venus's protection. He went for the Necklace of the Runs as well, which means that Kram will not have the best time when it comes to sustaining himself, let alone SDZYZ, who is dependent on lifesteals.
And by the time the next Lord spawns, it's already going to be a Luminous Lord. Oh My Venus already planting the bombs bunny. I hope I said that correctly. TNC will be having a hard time contesting this Lord, considering the zoning potential of not just Haji and Edward, but also Oh My Venus.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing, right? Because when you have a Farsa in the hands of Haji here, you're already seeing how strong the zoning capabilities are with a feathered airstrike. The burst is already there, which is surprising because when you look across from him, Escalera has those kills, right? They both have the mystery shop, but the impact of Haji on this far side is already just showing how valuable it is.
Now the Bombs Bunnies will be just checking out Ben Things, but looks like in the mid lane, Cram.
Oh, Cram, you can't heal up on this one as Haji gets the killing blow there. Happy with that. They Daytona's welcome comes out, finds the next target, throws him into the wall. SD's in trouble as he gets taken down. Escalera in the backside. He's like, oh no, I made a mistake. Has to flicker out, but there's Edward and the gang as they find another target for fall for TNC, and this very well could be the march to take a game #1 here for BLACKLIST International. Ben Things, there's not much you can do here as BLACKLIST International focus on Ben Things. They're gonna push them back, clear the minions, and that's gonna be it. Cram, you're too late. BLACKLIST International takes game #1.
Oh my God. BLACKLIST International, our first TNC, they had the early game for sure. A lot of aggressive plays down gold lane. Oheb wasn't having it in the early game. But during the mid game, during the team fights, we saw what made BLACKLIST great in the first place, and that's proper team fighting, shot calling, zoning, and target selection at its finest. And that's Game 1 victory for BLACKLIST International.
Good thing that you pointed out target selection. There is this